Now the tables do turn.
What do you think happens when you die in a dream?
Hi, guys.
What's up?
I just saw the movie last night, and I literally had nightmares that woke me up.
Good. I'm glad, though.
So-
I'm
You're
glad I
welcome.
had that
Bravo.
effect.
I'm sorry.
Good job.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
made a terrifying film.
Yes.
But I just wanted to bring up that it's like, I'm sure you guys know by now that this sequel was so wanted pretty much almost immediately after the first Black Phone.
Yeah.
But then Scott Derrickson kind of waited a bit. He waited a few
long
years.
time. He made us
5
wait,
years.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you guys happy that he did wait to make more of like a high school coming of age
Yes.
story rather than leaving it where we left off?
1,000%. I think that is the right way to do it. I feel like that's honestly one of the only ways you could do such a fantastic sequel in the right way.
Mhm.
You know, don't rush it. Take time. I feel like the movie deserved that. It deserved to rest for a while, let fans really soak that in, and keep them on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, I mean,
waiting
the
for
first
the
movie was
sequel.
them on a journey, and this one is a completely another journey in their life. You know,
Mhm.
that was
completely different from the
was-
first one.
That was kids becoming teens, and this one is teens becoming adults.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know, especially I think anybody else in that time in their age, going from 13 to I think I was 17, turning 18 in the film. A lot happens.
Yeah.
You really kind of find yourself.
Mhm.
And
I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
have grown as actors as well.
For
How
sure.
much
Yeah.
have
And
you
see,
guys grown?
I feel like that's where the difficulty for me came into playing Gwen again, is because we've both grown up, but in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely have not gone through what she's gone through in the
Yeah.
past. And I feel like she's changed so drastically.
you haven't talked to dead kids in your
No,
day?
I haven't
That's
actually.
crazy. I
That's not
talk to
something
dead
I
kids on the
do.
phone.
Like, it's just not
That's
something I
weird.
do. So it was definitely challenging to find her again, and I would talk to Scott all about like her character and what we think she's been going through. I feel like in a way she kind of feels like what Finn went through is
Mhm.
kind of her fault, or like she
Mhm.
could have done something to prevent it, which she really couldn't have. She's
Yeah.
got to let that go. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
of
it's so
course.
sad to
This is
be.
all Gwen's fault.
Yeah, it's just it's all
That's
on
it,
her.
wrap
It's
it
all
up,
on
it's
her.
her
I mean,
Robert,
come
all
on.
her fault.
Yeah.
It's this 11-year-old girl's fault.
Yeah.
All
Well,
on her.
speaking
Yeah.
of Gwen, you know, the roles are reversed in this film.
Mhm.
You know, Finney is
Mhm.
the one that faces off with the grabber in the first film, and now
Mhm.
it's really Gwen.
Mhm.
So for you, how different was that experience coming into this film and you, Gwen, being the target of the grabber?
How
It
does
was
it feel?
It was really scary, not gonna lie. Felt a lot of pressure. It was also so terrifying having to witness and read what Gwen goes through in the movie. I think, well, it definitely is so drastically different from the first
Mhm.
film, but I think in those scenes, it's very important to just be there and live in the moment. And, you know, Gwen has changed in a lot of ways. She's much more reserved. She feels more like the outcast. I'm definitely an extroverted person. So I feel like it was difficult finding her again in that sense. But then I could relate to her mentally in a lot of ways, which she was struggling mentally throughout the entire film and physically.
Mhm.
So I also feel like the wig helped me kind of feel immersed in her character. It definitely helped me
She
find her
loved that
again.
wig.
Oh yeah, loved it.
She
Big
loved
fan.
You
that
rock
wig.
the pixie.
Thank
I gotta
you.
say.
I'm
Thank
saying she
you.
hated it first, but
I
it was kind of
did.
dope.
Yeah.
It's kind of dope.
But then I honestly, I noticed every time I put the wig on, it made me feel very shy and
Mhm.
anxious. And so I'm honestly very grateful that Scott had me. He actually asked me if I wanted to wear the wig. He was
Mhm.
like, Maddie, I know you don't like it that much. So if you don't want to wear it, I won't force
It's
you
probably
to.
really good because when you have
And I
that
was
wig
like,
on, you're
I
really
wanted
not
to.
you,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
I was not me when I had
Yeah.
that wig on. I was Gwen. And so I'm very grateful that I got to kind of experience such a drastic character change. And it was honestly, it was a very good challenge for me, especially as an actor. I feel like I grew so much, not just as an actor, but as a person throughout the entire shoot of Black Phone 2.
Well, you definitely met the moment. And
Thank
I just
you.
want to bring in Ethan Hawke into the conversation because he
Yes.
was really your scene partner in the first film. So did you give her any tips on maybe things to do as him, as her scene partner, like any quirks that he does as the grabber and just any nuggets of wisdom?
I mean, you kind of just got to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing where it's, you know, what I loved so much about Finney in the first movie is, you know, how, I mean, if I was in that basement and the grabber was doing those things, I would be freaking out, going crazy. And
Panicking. Oh
Finney realizes that's what the grabber wants, and he fights that. So he keeps his calm, he keeps his cool, and he just thinks about how he can get out of there. And I think it's sort of that, you know, resistance and resilience that you kind of have to show. And I knew she was going to kill it anyway.
Yeah.
So
Can
yeah,
you
it's
guys
great.
both speak to maybe how Ethan turned it up a notch in this movie or anything about, you know, his energy that changed?
Yeah,
Ice
for
skates,
sure.
that's why.
Yeah, the ice skates, it
Ice
just made
skates, that's
everything
why.
darker. But no, I feel like he has all this rage and anger built up towards Finney. He's so driven by, he's he's blind by the anger. You know, he doesn't care if he has to do the worst thing imaginable to get back at him. So I think that's what really drove his performance in this film. Especially, I think Ethan definitely dived into that a lot more. But we'll let Ethan speak on the rest of that because it is his character.
Of course. So I feel like this sequel is like a callback to all the classic horror that stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Like I was getting obviously Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. So did Scott give you guys a list of movies to sort of watch in preparation to just get ready for this film?
For me, there were scenes in the film that he said to me reminded him of certain movies. Actually, it was just honestly, I think it was one scene in particular we were talking about, but he told me he didn't want me to watch it because he didn't want it to traumatize me, which I think is honestly some good advice. Unfortunately, it is on my watch list and I will be watching it anyway. But it is noted for sure. But he said there's a specific scene in Black Phone 2 where I see something horrible. I watch a very disturbing image. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And he said my reaction to it reminded him a lot of this specific scene in a movie. I'm not going to say what because I don't want to give anyone any references, no spoilers. But he said it definitely traumatized him and he didn't want me to have that kind of reaction linger with me. So
okay, that's
yeah.
Good. I mean, not good about the traumatizing.
Not good about the traumatizing part.
Okay, but I want to talk about the dream scenes because there's so many. Obviously, it takes up a majority of the movie, and they were all filmed in Super 8, which is really cool. I know that can be difficult from the filmmaker's perspective, but how about from the actor's perspective?
Well,
I mean, it was just like, I mean, we would film a scene and it would just be like, we would film it on digital, then we'd film it. We'd basically have 3 cameras set up and film on every single one and keep on going and keep on doing the scene in every coverage. And it was a long process.
It was a long process. But this was the worst part, I think. It turned out so beautiful. And I am so grateful that Scott had us do Super 8 for the dream sequences. But this was the scary part. I would do such an emotional scene and I would just give it my all, right? And screaming, crying, sobbing, whatever. And then I just have to pray that over the weekend, the film developed properly. Otherwise, we would have had to redo it.
There were a lot of things we had to redo.
Oh,
gosh. Luckily, no drastic, emotional scene that we had to redo.
Good.
Thankfully.
There was one shot in the movie, and after a kitchen thing, which is that's in the trailer.
Yeah, there you go. You can say that.
It's after a kitchen thing, and it's a shot of Finney, and it goes from Super 8 into digital.
It's so cool.
And it is such a beautiful shot the way they did that. It was me looking at something, saying something.
Yeah.
And then it just slowly goes into digital, and we shot that. That took it took a good bit.
Yeah.
Because we shot on 3 different cameras.
Well, it definitely paid off.
It's such a genius way to differentiate the dream sequences.
And before we wrap up, I just want to acknowledge what an amazing year you've had with How to Train Your Dragon and Regretting You. If any of those characters had to face off with the grabber, who do you think had the best chance of surviving?
I don't think Miller's got this. I don't think Miller's got this in the bag. I think
Hiccup might have to take this.
Hiccup all the way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to call Toothless.